Hey guys, how are you? Today I just want to show you how to build the LinkedIn Copilot that I've shown on LinkedIn this week. So I got quite a few requests to show how this actually works in practice. If you haven't, just go ahead and create a new account on cloud.uipath.com. You can then download Studio from here. Do the Pro trial version. So that will give you access to the normal Studio, not to Studio X nowadays. So that's for the installation. Now let's go ahead and create a new process. Let's call this LinkedIn Copilot demo. So this is already linked to my UiPath cloud. Okay, so before starting with anything, let's go ahead and open up Manage Packages. Let's make sure we have the right packages. Let's uninstall the ones that we don't actually need in this project. Let's go to Official. So for the callouts, I believe the packages for the callouts, those things that show up on the screen, are called UiPath callout activities. So let's install that. And the other one that we need is the OpenAI package, so that we can transmit the message from UiPath Studio over to OpenAI. There is some additional configuration to be done on the cloud, so that this will work, but we'll get to that in a second. So the first activity that we're gonna put in is a scope activity, so something that encapsulates anything that has to do with the attended automation. So let's look for trigger scope. So this is the one that we're gonna drag on. So the trigger scope has really three main areas. So here's where we're gonna put a click or a trigger on a click on a certain element. So in our case, it'll be the element of the actual post on LinkedIn. We're gonna have to tweak the selectors for that, but we're gonna get into that in a second. The other part is the actions side of things and the trigger arguments. So in this variable will hold information regarding different things on the screen. So we'll be able to get the actual element from the screen. Like this variable will be able to gather the text behind the post as well, which we're gonna send over to OpenAI later on. And then we have another part here, which is as soon as this thing is triggered, meaning the click on the post, then it's gonna do something. So here's where we're gonna put in the things like send this text over to OpenAI, and also things like show up the callouts, on the page. So let's put in a click event trigger. Open up LinkedIn. So now we're on LinkedIn. If we go to the most right hand side, we can select the whole thing. Let's try and select that. We see the strict selector here. We see the window selector. Let's leave it like that for now. Press confirm, and then we can play around with it in a second. That is the click event trigger, just to test it out. Let's put here a message box saying triggered. Let's try and run it. So it's running. Let's press on that. As soon as we press on that specific post, it does. This is in a continuous loop. If I press it again, it triggers again. Let's take a look at let's stop this now. Look at the actual selectors. Go here and let's go on the target. We have the strict selector here. It's being recognized through the CSS selector, which in my opinion I the most stable one. Let's open UI Explorer, which is a very powerful tool when it comes to the UI elements. Let's minimize this down, and let's try and find a bit of a pattern here. I've tackled this through indexes. So trying to identify an index to the post number one being index number one, post number two being index number two, and so on and so forth. That's what I'm aiming for here. If you have played with this before, you know that sometimes deselecting certain elements here, it does give you an index. So we can see this parent ID Ember 31. Again, I don't necessarily trust the numbers in the selectors, so we're gonna be careful with that. After playing a bit with it, this is the final selector. So we have the parent class, which has a wildcard, and the visible inner text, which has a wildcard as well. And then the index, obviously, because we want to trigger this based on any post that we want. I've wildcarded that as well. Let's press save. So if we go back here now and we try to run it, and we go press on that, we can see that it is being triggered for every post. Job number 1 done. Let's carry on with the next bit, which is we want to get the source element. By getting the source element, we get the information, all the information behind the element, things like the text inside of it, the number, and a lot of other properties for that. Go here and I go args, which is the thing under the actions here. So let's put that in. Let's create a new variable to hold that in so we can reuse it later. Let's call it UI element post, and then we still have this. Let's leave it in for now. Okay, so we have the source element now. Let's try and get an attribute out of our element. So the attribute that we're looking for is called outer text. So that's the one that contains the text behind the post. Let's put in a get attribute activity. For the get attribute activity, we just need to feed it in here in the input element. We just need to put our element from earlier. And then as soon as you put that in, you can select the attribute from here. It's recognizing all the attributes that are available. Text, so that's the one. And then let's try and create a new variable and call it post text. Alright, and let's drag this message box down, and instead of, let's put in str post text and see what happens. Clicking on that, that is the message box with the text. Let's try this one. Feed post number 2. Apparently it's giving you things like how many comments and the name of the person as well, which is useful because that's what we want to send over to OpenAI. Let's stop it. Okay, so now we have the attribute. We need to send that text to OpenAI. Let's look at the OpenAI integration service side of things. So I've installed that package earlier, and we're looking for text completions. So let's drag it down here. As soon as you drag it in, I already have a connection. If this is the first time for you doing it, you might not have anything here. So what all you have to do is just press on add new connection. It'll take you to connect to OpenAI. Give me 1 second. In integration service, you need to build your own connector. There are a few out of the box activities or connections here. The one that we're looking for is the OpenAI one. Press on it, connect to OpenAI, and then it will take you here. You need to put in your own API key. I'll quickly show you how to get the API key for OpenAI as well. Go to platform openai.com, create an account, and then it will take you here, and then you have the API keys here. I have those two. You create a new secret key, and that secret key will be your API key that you're gonna put into UiPath. As soon as you create the connection, it'll show up here, and you can select it from this drop down. That's on the OpenAI side of things. All you have to put in is just give it a prompt. So the prompt that I'm gonna give it is this one here. I'm telling it you're a LinkedIn engagement expert. I'll give you the text in the LinkedIn post, and you'll give me the best way to engage with the post, including potential comments I could leave. Please try and engage the poster by asking relevant questions as well. Here is the text of the post. I've done a bit of manipulation here. Obviously, you can create something a bit better around this. I just want to limit the number of tokens that I'm sending over. So first of all, it won't cost me a lot. It still gets the context from 1,000 characters about the post, so you still get some quality results from this. but it's just a very quick workaround and a way for me to cut corners to show you this. But the best way to do it would be to run the post through a summarizer first, like maybe an open model that summarizes text, and probably won't cost you anything, or will cost you very little, and then just feed that to OpenAI. I think that's probably the best way forward, but let me know what you think as well. This will generate the completion. So the model that you can use is this GPT 3.5 Turbo Instruct, which is not showing up in the list here, but if you put it in, it should work for you. So the temperature is set to 1, so that means it's on the creative side, which is probably what we want. And then anything else here, we want to put in the response. So you cannot see it because of my face here, but let's put in the response in a variable, and let's call it string OpenAI response. Let's try and display that in the message box. Let's try and run it now. Let's press on that. So just a silly mistake here. Let's go and stop it, and we want to change. This contains like the actual variable name, so we can select the things in it. It contains a lot more things than what we have. So let's just do what we had asked for. Let's do text. Let's try it again. That seems fine. Maximum 1,000 tokens. It cost me like, look at this. Sometimes it gives you like long answers. Other times it gives you. Obviously, you can work around with the prompt if you have like a certain way of doing things, or if you want a certain type of response. Try to put that in the prompt. Stop it. We have the response now. The only thing that remains is just putting it into the callout. So let's go and grab a callout. We have this show callout activity that we're gonna drag in. We want to select the form. We don't have any form, so let's create a new one. Let's call it callout LinkedIn. It's just a really user-friendly way of displaying things or building things. We want to put in a text area in here, which is gonna have a label called engagement suggestions. This is just a suggestion on what you can tell to that person. In this demo, I'm not showing you how to apply it to your own knowledge, but obviously you can expand this, and instead of using the pre-built UiPath API connector, you can build your own and link it to your own agent, OpenAI agent that has access to your CV, for example, your testimonials, your previous interactions, or your own way of talking or of commenting. So apply to your unique style. But this is just a high-level overview, or like a simple version of it. We have engagement suggestions here. That looks good. Let's rename this button to close. So that will close the whole thing. Let's close this down. Save it. This is asking like, alright, so you have the call out, but on what element you want it to be displayed. So you want to attach it to which element. So in our case, it's just gonna be our UI element that we've taken earlier, so we can reuse that with no problems. The very last thing here is the arguments, which is just the text within that text box that we put on. So the engagement suggestions text box, and the value in there, it'll be the string OpenAI response that comes back from OpenAI. Obviously, let's not forget to put in the text only. Press save. Still delete the message box because probably we won't need it now. Let's run it again. When we press now that call out, obviously it takes a bit of time to get the response from OpenAI, but then we're left out with this. You can see the format is not great, but you can play around with the form itself and make it a bit more readable. So that's that. You can click close, and then you can go to the next one here, for example. In a nutshell, this is like the simplest version, and it's you can expand from here. I'm gonna share with you this code. If you want to enhance it, Make sure you share with the world as well if you make any modifications. It's a fun thing. This can be used for fake engagement as well, so it is a bit of a gray area with this, but if you're using it for yourself and just trying to be engaging better with and getting some real suggestions about how you can engage with posters, just a bit of a helping hand really. I think it can be quite a useful tool. That's kind of it. Thank you very much for watching. Let me know what you think in the comments, what I should build next. If you're working on anything exciting, let me know, and yeah, I'll see you next time. Thanks guys.